Life is full of transitions. Some of them are expected, and some come out of nowhere. But in each of those moments, we have a choice. We can either resist the change or we can embrace it and reinvent ourselves. Reinvention is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about connecting the dots in your life, seeing how everything is and has been linked, and using those connections to bring clarity and understanding to your present and to shape your future. And most importantly, it's about leaving something that inspires others to do the same thing. Welcome back to the Shattered Mindset podcast, where we explore the pivotal moments that redefine our thinking and set us on new paths. I'm your host, Melvin Larry, and today we're going deep. We're talking about one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of life, reinvention. Now, reinvention is something we all face, whether we realize it or not. It's not just about a career change or new phase in life. It's about looking at the moments where life shifts and recognizing how those shifts shape where we came from, who we are today, and where we're going. Look, I've walked this path many times, and I'm sure many of you have too. Today, I want to explore how reinvention has impacted my life, and more importantly, how it can impact you to navigate the pivotal moments of transition. Okay, let's dive in. I want to start by talking about one of the biggest transitions in my life, and that's leaving the corporate world. See, I spent over 20 years with a Fortune 500 transportation company. I was rising through the ranks, managing operations and overseeing teams. It was a world of structure, routine, and relative predictability. I had a steady paycheck. I knew what time I had to be at work, what was expected of me, and what goals I had to hit. There was a degree of comfort in that stability, but also some limitations. Now, look, I mentioned relative predictability earlier because being in operations management with a transportation company, my day to day was often dictated by external forces like weather. And bad weather could disrupt deliveries and pickups and create chaos for the day. And holidays, well, they often meant long work hours instead of relaxation with the family like other normal people were doing. The challenge, the challenge with managing this chaos while staying within the lines of our corporate expectations. Yet, when I finally decided to step away from corporate and venture into entrepreneurship, it felt like I was leaving everything I had known and I was leaving it all behind. But think about it, going from comfort, the comfort of a steady paycheck that really came like clockwork, to waking up with no alarm clock, no set schedule, and no guarantee of income. So the shift from that steady structure to that unsteady lack of structure. And probably the big part was that no guarantee of income. That was a huge one for me. Look, it's a leap that really forces you to look at the world differently, and it's really not for the faint of heart. It was just me, my vision, and the world of possibilities in front of me. The reality of it is this discipline built into the structure of a job. Okay. All right. I mean, that was just all there for me. And look, I didn't realize, I didn't realize at first, but once I stepped out of that environment, well, I quickly learned how much my routine was tied to external expectations. And it's not until you're on your own that you truly understand the level of discipline it takes to create your own structure. Without that external pressure, you have to rely on your inner drive to keep you moving forward. And let me tell you, Stepping into the unknown of entrepreneurship, it's not easy. There are no manuals, no set goals handed down from a boss. You have to build your own discipline, set your own targets, and hold yourself accountable in ways that a job never could. You're responsible for your own success or failure. That's a whole different kind of pressure. Okay. It's so easy to wake up and realize it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you haven't accomplished what you set out to do. That's terrible, right? But here's the thing, it also opens you up to a whole new level of freedom and potential. You reinvent yourself from an employee to an owner where you can succeed or fail, but you're the only one who can fire you or give yourself a raise. So, for those of you who are contemplating making a leap in your career or stepping into something entirely new, know this: the transition from structure to uncertainty will no doubt stretch you. It will test you in ways you've never been tested before, but it will also give you the opportunity to become something more, to build a life that's truly aligned with who you are and who you want to be. All right. So I went from a place where vacation time meant asking my wife, whose family are we going to visit, yours or mine? To a place where we determine where we want to go, when, and for how long, and with whom. That's freedom in its truest sense. Especially when you're not worrying about how you're going to pay for it. Look, leaving the corporate world wasn't just about losing the structure, it was also about transitioning from managing employees to leading a volunteer workforce of entrepreneurs. Let me explain the difference. See, when you're in an environment, a corporate environment, especially in management, you have a certain amount of authority. You set the goals, you assign the tasks, and the people under your management, listen, they're expected to follow through. Management is a measure of results, okay? But leadership is a measurement of effectiveness. In the corporate world, it's easy to feel like you're in control. You have the authority to hold people accountable, and you can rely on that system of rewards and consequences. But when I moved into entrepreneurship and leadership within the direct marketing sector, everything changed. I went from managing employees who had to follow instruction to leading entrepreneurs who chose to follow or not. Leading independent business people is a completely different game. When people own their time, effort, and energy, you can't just tell them what to do. You have to inspire them. You have to paint and repaint the vision, constantly reminding them of the mission and why it's worth their time and energy. In corporate life, a paycheck or a performance review might motivate someone to get the job done. But in the world of entrepreneurship, you don't have those same levers to pull. You have to earn trust, build relationships, and lead through influence. I was already a student of personal development, but I had to dive deeper into growing my leadership, teamwork, and people skills. You have to earn their trust and commitment through your vision, your passion, and your ability to connect with them. For me, that shift from managing to leading was a profound reinvention. I had to learn how to lead from a place of influence, not authority. As John C. Maxwell said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. For me, the shift from managing to leading was a profound reinvention. I had to learn how to lead, not from a place of authority, but from a place of influence and connection. I had to develop new skills in communication, empathy, and motivation. I had to understand that, listen, leadership isn't about titles or positions. necessarily. It's about service and connection. So whether you're leading in your career, your marriage, your religious organization, or even in your family, remember this: leadership is about inspiring others to move with you toward a shared vision. It's not just what you say, it's about what you make people feel and how you make them believe in what's possible. That's what makes a lasting impact. Think of a football or a basketball coach at halftime who has to inspire his or her team to search inside of themselves to pull out what's needed to overcome a score deficit to win. That's an essential thing that we have to live with, and we can definitely learn from. Now, look, I want to talk to you now about something even more personal: family. I mentioned marriage and family a bit before, but now I want to talk to you about the shift from parenting to grandparenting and the evolution within marriage, as both require a constant reinvention. Some of you are going to think that this part doesn't apply to you. Well, I need to talk about that. But keep listening, and maybe, just maybe, you might see how it just may. Remember, the podcast is all about connecting the dots in our lives. That's what we talk about here. So when you're a parent, you're in the trenches. You're raising your children, teaching them, disciplining them, guiding them through life's ups and downs. You're hands on, making decisions and hoping they turn out right. Okay. But when you become a grandparent, your role shifts. You're no longer the disciplinarian, you're the legacy builder. You're passing on wisdom, supporting and loving in a way that's more about nurturing than control. It's fun too, because you get to spoil them and then send them back to their parents. Look, I'm just serious. And look, I know I'm just half joking here, okay? But for me, becoming a grandfather has been one of the most rewarding reinventions of my life. I'm more patient, more focused on love than discipline. And I get to be the good guy more often. But here's the thing: grandparenting, just like parenting, is a form of leadership. It requires you to step back and trust that your children will make their own decisions, succeed and fail their own ways, while you stand by ready to guide, not control. And then there's marriage. Okay. Just like we change as individuals, marriage requires reinvention as well. People will go into a marriage and say to the other person, don't try to change me. Okay. But if you're moving into a situation where you're no longer single, where what you say and do only affects you, you have to reinvent yourself. And that invites change. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. In fact, true reinvention, that is, in marriage, means growing together while staying true to who you are. It's about evolving together and embracing each other's growth. Marriage, like any relationship, must evolve with time. What worked in the early years may not work now. The key is staying unselfishly authentic. Reinvention is about adapting, not pretending. It's about fostering growth without losing the core of who you are, individually and or together. But here's the real truth: reinvention isn't just about changing roles or career paths. The deepest kind of reinvention happens within us. It starts with confronting the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you believe, what you're capable of, and what's possible. It's about letting go of the limiting beliefs you've placed on yourself and stepping into a new understanding of your potential. You know, potential is something you haven't done, but you're capable of doing. I've had to do this kind of inner work many times in my life, still am. Every major transition, whether it was leaving corporate America, stepping into entrepreneurship, or even becoming a husband, parent, and grandparent, required me to look inward and ask myself, who am I becoming? And who do I want to become? It wasn't just about learning new skills, it was about redefining my identity in the face of change. And for those of you listening who are going through your own transitions, I want to challenge you to look inward. Take the time to reflect on where you've been, where you are now, and where you want to go. Reinvention starts from within, and it requires a willingness to face yourself, to acknowledge the areas where you've held back, and to embrace the possibilities of who you can become. Here's something important to understand. Reinvention doesn't just affect you. Every time you reinvent yourself, you create a ripple effect. Now, you've heard me talk about that before. Look, your growth impacts your family. It in fact impacts your friend. It can even impact your community. Sometimes, and even in that regard, people that you don't even know. Look, when I left my job in corporate to start my own business, it wasn't just about me. It was about showing my family, my children, and my grandchildren that it's never too late to follow your passion, take risks, and create something new. Hey, look, that's what I'm doing right here, right now, and shifting into business, shifting here into podcasting. Listen, reinvention is a thing that really keeps us reinvigorated, if you will. Look, in fact, I met a gentleman recently who told me that something I said to him over 30 years ago changed his life, and he's still benefiting from it today. I didn't know that. I never knew the impact I had on this gentleman. And look, that's the thing about reinvention. As you go along, you may touch somebody who gives them something, or who you give them something that's going to cause them to make shifts to reinvent their lives. You don't always see the ripple effect right away, but trust me, it's there. I once said to a gentleman, I said, I want to impact people's lives, but I don't know if the things that I'm doing are really impacting people's lives. I don't know if I'm really making a direct impact on people. And he said to me, he said, you may not always know. He said, you may say something or do something that sparks something in somebody to say something to somebody else that took action on something that you said to one person, and they were the person who changed the world. You don't know. Okay. See? But look, hey, that's what it's all about, really. It's about leaving a legacy of growth, possibility, and fulfillment. All right. Not necessarily directly pointed at anybody, even though you may be wanting to do it to your children, your grandchildren, your family, and whatever. You just have to move forward in the things that you're called to do. And it's about showing people, especially people you care about, though some you don't even know, again, that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. All right. And it's about passing on the lessons you've learned along the way so that not only you, but others can benefit from the journey in this adventure we call life. So, listen, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Life is full of transitions. Some of them are expected, and some come out of nowhere. But in each of those moments, we have a choice. We can either resist the change, or we can embrace it and reinvent ourselves. Reinvention is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about connecting the dots in your life, seeing how everything is and has been linked, and using those connections to bring clarity and understanding to your present and to shape your future. And most importantly, it's about leaving something that inspires others to do the same thing. So, hey, listen, I got to go, but until the next time, you back here with us on the Shattered Mindset podcast. I want you to keep adapting. Please keep evolving, keep reaching for those new horizons. Keep looking at the things that connect the dots in your life that lead you to more and better ways to help yourself and touch other people's lives. I'll see you next time. Take care. Keep it